I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Here we are, once again, for a new episode of Oops the Podcast. Every week, we do it. It's myself, Francis Ellis, and Giulio Gallerati. Hi, Giulio.
What's up, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You're looking chipper as ever.
You know, as are you.
I wonder if you've got a little bit of that afterglow on your face as a result of the roaring success that was your New York Comedy Festival premiere of Rwanda Isn't That Different.
Yes.
Is that right? Am I getting all that right?
I don't know how important the title is. It was a night sort of anchored around the videos that I had made when I went there. They had wanted to put on the show for the festival, which was very nice. It was nice to give it like a proper screening. We've never actually done that. And everything that kind of went around it, I was nervous because it was sort of there was a lot of experimental firsts in it. But I felt good about it, man. I was so happy you could be there. And thanks to all the Oops people who either tuned into the live stream or who bought tickets. Really happy to have you all there.
You know, I didn't know much about what the format was going to be like. Mm-hmm. So, and I've obviously seen your Rwanda video. We all loved it. It was so cool when you posted that. So the way that you came out and described the impetus for making that video, you sort of backed into it from a cultural perspective. You provided your mindset at the time and also gave a lot of background on where your wanderlust stems from.
Right.
And this is a lot of stuff that I had never heard before. And I'd almost be keen to ask you to regurgitate some of it for the podcast because cool. I was shocked that I was finding so much new information last night. In fact, almost a little annoyed because we talk endlessly, and the fact that there's new information coming from you makes me feel as if you've been hiding things.
Well, as far as all the Rwanda video stuff goes, it can become one of those things where you can carry on about it, so I kind of have always felt the impulse to kind of fill people in on the highlights and not to carry on too much. But, last night, the purpose of it was to carry on.
Can I just say the fact that carrying on is a fear of yours, it has never been a fear of mine in my life. Carrying on, in other words, talking too much, that is not a fear of mine at all, which is a problem. It's a reason probably people get a little bit thirsty when they're listening to me, but anyway, please carry on.
Well, so I don't know, was there anything in particular that stood out to you as something that was like, oh, well, that's interesting, or I had never heard that?
Well, tell the story about the first time that you said to yourself, I want to be able to travel all the time. This is sick.
Okay. So I was in college and I was doing sort of like the classic immigrant vacation. I don't know what it is about immigrant families, but like when you go to visit your family, you go for a really long time and you like stay at their house. So it's not vacation per se. So we'd go to Italy and I would just stay in my grandparents' house for like 3 weeks and, we'd all fight and have fun and eat, but it wasn't like vacation, And like in every summer, like I wouldn't go every summer. My dad would go every summer. Some summers I would go, some summers I wouldn't. This particular summer I went. And I sort of went reluctantly because, when you're a teenager into college, like you don't want to leave your life. Mm-hmm. Your social life is so important. You have so much FOMO. And I ended up, going there and I had a buddy from college who lived in Germany and he's like, dude, let's hang out if you want to come visit. So I took the train from Italy to Switzerland where my boy picked me up. And then we went to stay at his place in Germany. And it's funny, I was so excited and like anxious about the trip that I actually didn't sleep at all. And I got on the train and I was so nervous that I was going to fall asleep and miss my stop that I like forced myself to stay awake and became this stressful thing. Anyway, back to what I was talking about at the show last night. We were in, the train goes through the Alps. This train is called the Cisalpino train and it's a beautiful ride, they were telling me, so whatever. But you go in a tunnel and you're in a tunnel for a while, and it was the middle of the summer, and we popped out of that tunnel, and it was just snowing, and I was like, this is so sick. Like, and suddenly, like, I felt the FOMO and everything just be completely lifted, and I felt so light and agile and like
And present
present
was the word
yeah,
you used.
and
yeah.
present. And it was such a like amazing moment that I've kind of been trying to sort of recreate that whenever I can because of how good it feels. And also you kind of have this ability to sort of look back on your life and put things in perspective. And, you know, you get back home and within a couple of days you lose it, but it's nice to like feel it in the moment. And after that moment, yeah, I decided
You have alluded to this before, where you say that traveling really helps you to take sort of a bird's eye perspective of your own life.
Yeah, it's sort of like an out of body experience almost.
And I think that's a really interesting thing and something that people should strive to do. The next time that any of you are fortunate enough to be traveling, you know, think back to the life that you're coming home to and what you miss about it, and it should help you appreciate the life that you've built and what you're away from even more.
Totally, man. And yeah, so I felt like with that whole thing I did yesterday as an intro, it was kind of different. I had never said a lot of that stuff on stage, so I was a little I was kind of nervous because usually, like, as you know, when we do stand up, we run our shit a million times, and then when we do something new, we like slide it in the middle of stuff we've already done. So it's like more of a process than people think, and it's not actually that nerve-wracking.
But you didn't miss a word, and this is what really blew me away, was that it felt to me as though you had really, really prepared for that.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I said that to Hillary after,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah,
and she was like, he's been practicing.
Yeah.
And it showed, and that's, I hope that doesn't make you, that is a huge credit to you.
No, that in no way takes away.
There was no dead air.
It's so nice to hear you say that.
There was no dull moments. There was no point where I thought, you know, move on. Like it just, from the moment you took the stage through until the end, it was a dynamic, culturally immersive, sort of gently teaching presentation, but that was not sermonic. I thought that you presented, you know, this sort of conceit of this is why I wanted to go to Rwanda. People have misconceptions, which, you know, is another thing you've expressed before about like wanting to disprove and allay people's fears about places in the world that they might not want to visit because they think they're dangerous. Or and this is when I started laughing. This was the funniest part of the night. Because it was something that I was the only person laughing at.
I heard, I said,
dying.
I hear Francis.
And he said, I can hear you Francis laughing. But you were like, there are only a couple of reasons why I wouldn't go to a country. One is like, what did you say? The first one?
In the midst of war.
You were like in the midst of war or, you know, a failed state. And it's like, it would require a failed state. You don't hear that typically, like, oh man, I'm gonna skip, you know, fucking Botswana this year. The state has failed. You know, they're in the midst of a coup and nobody really knows what's what over there. I mean, it's just so funny that your criteria for like saying, I might take the long way around is so like insane. The reasons are so few for why you would not go to a country. Whereas like I'd be like, man, you know, I don't know how different it is from America, you know, or like, you know, there's not a whole lot. It's landlocked. Like that would be another, you know, like you're like, oh, the embassy's on fire, you know. I was howling, dude. A failed state. It's just so okay. I don't want. Again, it was your night, but I just wanted to tell you that from my perspective, I learned a lot, and I also thought that you know, you were able to talk about being, you know, a guy going over to visit Rwanda and had this very almost impulsive, but like, you know, on a whim purchase of your flight and
Dude, after a night of just getting bombed.
yeah.
Like I couldn't decide whether or not I was going to go. And then this is a thing that I do. I've talked about this, but like I'll get tuned up and then fucking book flights and wake up in the morning and figure it out. And be like, fuck, I forgot I did that.
It's a good thing to do. And you also know you always typically have 24 hours to cancel a flight.
That is true. That is true.
But I've done similar. Never to Rwanda, but Sweden once I booked a flight very last minute, which I think I've told you that story.
I didn't know that you booked a last minute like that, but
I think I booked it on a Tuesday for a Thursday.
Dude, that's amazing.
To go to Stockholm for 4 days.
I love it.
And I did stand up over there too.
Amazing.
Which was cool. But look, I thought presented this gentle, almost like thesis on like we can go to these places without coming off as like a white savior, without sounding like you were preaching. You didn't bring race into it. It was very like, look, just open your mind and you'll find commonalities with people and places that you might never have thought you could. And what a wonderful message for the world. I hope a lot of people watched the live stream because it was encouraging. It made me want to, travel and certainly be a little bit more open-minded. And I think that is something that is a huge character, piece of you and a benefit, and something that I cherish about you is how open-minded you are and like willing to bond with people. The last thing I'll say, there was a class I took in college called Community in America, and it was taught by a professor named Robert Putnam. And it was like the most Harvard class that I took. It met at his house. This guy was like
awesome.
one of the most tenured, respected professors at the entire university in the government department. And he's been teaching on community in America for many, many years. And it met at his house. It was a small seminar. It was only like 12 students. He had a lottery into it. His wife would make us tea and cookies at the half hour or the hour break in the middle. And we would sit in his living room around his fireplace on couches, and he would be in a swivel chair, and he would just like point at us and be like, what did you think of the reading? We'd read like 300 pages a week of his work. And he would like play devil's advocate against us about the stuff he'd written.
Cool. That's cool.
And it was so, whatever. But the whole thing he talks about is this thing called, in the 1950s and the 60s, like communities in America, neighborhoods were very closely bonded through church groups, softball leagues. You could send your kids over to someone else's house and not worry about them. And they would like babysit for you for free, whatever. People, meals, like we'll cook for your kids, no problem. And, with the growth of the suburbs and the internet, people have kind of nestled more into their own families. And there's been this breakdown of community in America. And he said that the thing that creates the strongest bonds, the most benefits for society are I think they were called like cross cleavage bonds, which is when you bond with people who are not like you, whether it's someone of a different religion or a different race.
This is like a thing we talk about on the podcast too, in general. It's like, totally.
And I think that, I couldn't help but feel that this wonderful professor, Robert Putnam, had he watched your presentation last night, would have given you high marks.
That's very nice.
For the cross-cutting bonds that you have created. I think whatever, I can't even remember the exact term. I wrote like a 20-page final paper on this, but many years ago. Anyway, that's my take, and I was really, really impressed.
Thanks,
Were you
man.
happy?
Very. And to be honest, so I appreciate hearing you say that because there was definitely a fine line of like, so I wanted this to be funny, you know what I mean? And I was able to take a couple bits that I do, or a couple bits that I knew would go well with a set like this, and kind of like weave them in, plus a ton of other stuff. And like you said, like it was really important to me to like convey the message effectively and with the proper wordage. So I was practicing
Yeah.
a lot because I wanted to make sure that I got it right, because some of the things, like the words were so important to make some of the stuff land, especially when it came to just like thematic stuff. Whereas like the stand-up bits are kind of like bullet points, but like some of the like quote message, you know what I mean? And also I just didn't, you don't know where the laughs are going to come. And they were there and in ways where I didn't expect it. And that felt really nice.
You should go back and watch, because there are stand-up bits that you found
Totally.
that you may not have known about.
I know.
There were a lot of really funny bits,
Dude, yeah. Thank you, bro.
in there.
Thank you,
and I think only because I'm a comedian did I have the ear to know, like, oh, I think that's probably a bit
Already
he's been doing.
Right.
I'm guessing like the Russian change one at the TSA.
Yep. That's a bit.
But it wasn't. It was very seamless.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
very seamless, and there were a lot of things where I was like, if that isn't a bit, it should be.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and you should go back.
I will. So I was able to get the live stream, like a copy. I will have a copy of it. So if anybody wants it, I think I still will be able to like send to like sell that in the future. If anybody's like missed it and wants to see it, like you DM me, or DM us and we can figure that out. But dude, so I was happy with that. I was like, okay, this is kind of the most nerve-wracking part of the night, is like getting up there and like delivering this in a way that people are interested and I'm not putting people to sleep. Right. So I feel like that went pretty well. And I appreciate you saying all that stuff. And then, the screenings, whatever, that's easy stuff. But then we're doing a live stream from Africa. They're both in different time zones in Africa. It's also like 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning in Africa. And 2 or 3 days before, the clocks had changed here. So we had done a tech rehearsal when the time difference was different. And now it was just like this clusterfuck. And there were just so many things that could have gone wrong. And the only thing that actually really ended up going wrong was the picture would come in and out every once in a while. But that was a problem on our end.
It was no big deal. I saw that.
Thank God it wasn't that the audio was cutting out. That would have been a much bigger killer.
It just felt like a screensaver thing.
Yeah.
It was it,
And I think that
problem.
people got used to it pretty quickly and it wasn't a huge problem. They were really insightful and fun.
Fun and funny.
So challenging for them. They can't see the audience. They're on Zoom, like answering questions. It was challenging.
These are his buddy, his correspondents in Rwanda who are talking about comedy in Rwanda, and also telling the story of what it was like when Julio came to visit them after this very tenuous connection on Facebook.
And what's funny about that is, and Hillary said this to me, and I think this is true. She's like, it was funny how like, not only do people here think you're crazy, they thought you're crazy too.
Yeah, and they didn't believe you. They were like, there's no way this guy's coming. There's no way he's coming. Like the one guy was like, I didn't believe it, This guy's full of shit. Just another guy who says he's coming to Rwanda, but he's not. And then he showed up. We were like, wait, really? So funny.
Well, dude, I think this is a good opportunity to talk about one of our new sponsors, which is called Storyworth.
Oh, good.
It's a really cool. So, for example, for something like this, if one day I were to be doing my memoirs or something, Storyworth is this really cool product that allows you to sort of tell your story. And they ask you a series of questions over time. So like you'll get an email being like this, and this, and you answer it. And then like after, X amount of time goes by, you have a book.
Oh, wow.
It's a really cool product.
Okay. Are you responding to prompts? Is
Yes.
that kind of what you're doing?
Yes. So they're literally emailing you. And like, it's a really cool gift to give people too. So like, for example, if you'll end up learning shit about your family that you never knew.
Oh, that's cool.
So like I give this gift, I give it as a gift to my mom, and my mom is going to answer all these questions. And in XYZ amount of time, I'm going to have my mom's fucking life story.
Yeah.
And so the book isn't ready yet, but my mom actually told me some of the questions that she had answered and stuff that I ended up learning about her that I literally never knew about. Like the way, like the nature with which her family separately came to America and how she, just the whole process of that, what ship, like all this shit that I had never heard before. And it was just so interesting. And I can't wait for the final product to be done.
Very cool.
And it's super cool. And like you learn stuff about your family that you never knew before. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. So anyway, with Storyworth, I am giving those I love most a thoughtful personal gift from the heart and preserving their memories and stories for years to come. So if you go to Storyworth.com/oops. You'll be able to save $10 on your first purchase. That is storyworth.com/oops to save $10 on your first purchase. So anyway, dude, last night was funny because as everybody, I think we talked about this on an earlier episode, but my and my girlfriend's parents met, and I'm in the green room and I can actually hear them meeting each other.
Oh,
which is crazy.
That's surreal.
Like, oh, hi. Like, what a like crazy moment. And like stakes are kind of high.
I met all of Hillary's family as well.
Yeah.
But I keep going.
No. So it was cool that there was so much of that happening. People in my life meeting each other. So many important people in my life there. And it was also amazing how I got to tie in everybody who was there into the fucking show. Like literally, I said your name by first name in the middle of my set. I said Hillary's name. I talked about her family. I talked about my entire family. I talked about Ricky. I talked about like all these important people. Josh was there like as the opening act. Like it was so fun to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it was very intimate and very personal. And I think it was so cool for your friends to sort of see you up there and this story that I'm sure people have not had your drive explained to them as clearly as you did.
Yeah.
But it's very clear that there's though this is madness, there's method in it.
Right. Hopefully.
What drives you to sort of see the world.
Totally.
Here's a funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
A number of my friends came.
Which was so amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But get this, Julio. We did not talk to each other that we were all going.
Are you serious?
Which just further cements the fact that they are no longer my friends. They are our friends. Julio
What a fun
has
thing.
completely bewitched my friend group.
I'm a fungus.
They
on
are
your friend group.
enamored of him, and they want to hang out with him and go to his comedy shows, regardless of whether or not I'm there.
So, dude, it's funny. I invited Abba, and so it's funny. So Francis actually bought tickets to my show. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You don't have to buy tickets.
Well,
it's very nice of you to support.
Of course.
So it ended up working out because they apparently had some limit on comp tickets, and I would have ended up. And they were like, we're going to have to subtract it from that. I was like, oh, God. Well, I guess it's good that Francis ended up buying tickets.
Yeah.
So I invited Abba, and I think that Abba didn't realize that he needed a ticket. So, and it was funny. Once he was there and he's like, dude, I'm not on the list. I wasn't going to be like, you need to buy a ticket. I was just going to try to like hook him up. So I was like, the interns are coming to get you. But somehow he just sweet talked his way into the show, dude.
He's a sweet talker.
I don't know how.
Silver-tongued devil, that
I
young
don't
man.
know how he did it, but he just talked his way into it, which is so funny.
He's great.
And then, so the other, two of your other friends who are a couple, I think that maybe she is friends with Hillary's sister, and that's how they...
correct.
Right, which is so funny. Small world.
Yeah,
I love them. They're a great hang.
Yep.
And it was so nice to see them there, dude. And that's so funny that you didn't know they were going to be there. I love it.
It was almost like I think we found out a couple hours before.
That's
Someone was like,
so
are you
funny.
going to Julio's tonight? And I was like, yeah, are you? What do you mean? of course I am. Like, you guys, all of you are? It was great.
Dude.
And we had a really nice time. I'll say this, Julio.
Yes.
It was a Tuesday night.
Yes.
It was started at 9:30
It's late.
p.m.
It's a tough slot.
I have not left my house on a Tuesday night to go out that late in years. So we were getting dressed for a fancy night in New York City,
Crazy.
wearing our bird dogs, as we do. I'm in bird dogs pants. She's not, but she wishes she were. And, because they're my favorite pants. I wear them to go out on, really cosmopolitan evening to see my friend Giulio Gallerati, star of the New York Comedy Show, doing his premiere of this crazy, amazing thing. In my bird dogs pants, those are the pants that I feel most comfortable in, that I feel sexiest in. It's nighttime. It's New York. It's cool. It's hip. It's in. Bird dogs.
Beautiful.
Those are the pants you need. Built-in underwear liner. Extremely comfortable. They look like dressier pants, but they feel like pants that you could run down a train in. You could catch a train that had already left the station.
Dude, that's great.
Bird dogs pants. Buy your pair now. You'll get by shorts too.
Joggers. They got
joggers,
it
any
all.
of their
What a
amazing
versatile
products.
product.
Such a good lineup. Promo code is OOPS, and you'll get a Nerf football, a type of, not a Nerf football, but like a Vortex type football with your first purchase. Birddogs.com, get your stuff now. We were putting on our clothes for like a night in the city at 8:45 and looking at each other being like,
What is happening?
Is this in another time zone? Like, why are we
What
leaving right
universe are we
now?
in?
Because we cooked dinner. We did all the things we would normally have done.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we went out to dinner and then came to your show. We cooked dinner at home and had this quiet dinner
So
in our
funny.
pajamas and shit,
That's
and then had
hilarious.
to shower from dinner and then go put on fancy city clothes,
So funny.
get in an Uber, come, go to the show, have a couple drinks, and then take an Uber home.
Dude, it's so funny.
And let me tell you something.
Mhm.
We're all hanging out after your show, hugs and kisses. Congratulations, Julio. Awesome all the way around. You guys are, cooking up some kind of like, well, let's go to a bar. Let's do this. And Sierra turned to me and she said, I got to go home. I got to go to bed. We're not a big dirty talking couple. That was the most erotic thing I have ever heard her say to me.
I don't get it. Just because you wanted to go to bed too?
She has never been the one of us to say,
hilarious.
let's go home, let's go to bed. That's me.
Always.
I wear that
Always.
cross.
Dude,
That's
love
me
it.
to a T, and it's me saying it, pleading with her. Just let me go. If you don't want to come, that's fine. I have to go. My time is up.
I have seen that happen many times.
Yes. And for her to be the one being like, is it all right if we go home and go to bed? Was like, oh my God. Finally, for once, like all this time. So,
Dude, that's so funny.
I was so happy. And, I didn't think you would mind that we were
Not at all.
skipping out on the late
Not
night
at
party.
all.
But you texted me at 1:30 in the morning. So you guys must have been out pretty late.
So we actually weren't. It's funny. We went out and then slowly everybody kind of started. Like I was ready to have a night, dude. I racked up like a fucking big bar tab at some like random bar. Which by the way, dude, we walked in there. There was like two people in there. One of them was like, I'm pretty sure a homeless guy watching shit on an iPad. So this bar was like shutting down. The bartenders were so fucking nice and friendly,
nice.
and like it was wonderful. Like I was so happy because especially in that neighborhood, a lot of these bars tend to like hate the patrons. Like you ever go to like some divey bar in the LES and the bartenders just hate everyone there?
That's the Lower East Side.
Yeah, sorry.
Out
Lower
for
East Side.
anyone out there.
Like, dude, I went to a bar the other night and the bartender begrudgingly took my order, and then I watched him pour me a drink without pouring the alcohol in it. And then when I said, I watched you not pour alcohol in it, he goes, there's alcohol in that. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was crazy. Yeah. Like just to like be a dick. Like he was like treating me like I was some like wasted, and which it wasn't even the case, dude. I was like sober at this bar.
Oh, weird.
Whatever. Sorry. That's not to get off the topic.
You know what pisses me off about bars? I'm glad you brought this up. Is when you go into a bar that is low key or quiet, there's not many people in there, and you have you ever done this? Like there's 10 people, 8 people, and you say, I want to put let's floor it a little bit for a second here. Let's set the night afire, ablaze. I'm going to order a round of shots for everyone.
Oh man.
But then you ask them, how much does a shot cost? What's a shot?
Oh, and they're like $13.
And they're like, oh, shots are $9. And you're like, well, what if we ordered in bulk? Is there some sort of bulk discount for shots, or the fact that, there's nobody here? Can you give us some kind of discount for the fact that we're going to order 10 shots?
Yeah.
And they don't. Shots, I don't think, should have a unit price. I think they should be contingent upon the environment, the timing. If I'm at a very crowded bar, right, and it's bumping on a Friday night and I order 10 shots, by all means, rip my face off. Charge me $15 a shot. I get it. That's peak hours, shots, whatever. Go for it. I understand what I'm signing up for. But if I'm in a quiet bar and you know that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I just,
dude.
for some reason, I think there should be a sliding scale.
Why are you charging me $120 for shots?
Why
This
would,
is
and
insane.
also, why would I order a $9 shot if for like $1 more, I can get a drink that's going to take me 44 times as long to drink that I can drink over the space of 44 lifetimes of one shot.
That's fucking great.
I don't know, man. I
feel you, dude.
shots are just the biggest fucking scam in the
I know.
game,
It's
but they
crazy.
are fun.
They are fun, man. I mean, my favorite thing about a bar is when they have Stewart Spiked Seltzer.
Oh, is it? Yeah, you would like that. I do too.
That is my favorite thing about, dude. So this is a really fun development about Stewart Spiked. So currently, you guys know this is one of our favorite beverages. They're one of our beloved sponsors. Currently, you can find Stewart Spiked Seltzer in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Colorado, and Hawaii.
Oh boy, hula hula.
Hula hula, Hawaii,
Are
dude.
they a big hula hooping country state? Fucking hell,
I
falling
think
apart.
yeah, I don't know. It's confusing.
What is hula hula? Why did I say that?
Isn't it luau?
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, is this literally just a bit from Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Is it?
Because he's like hula, and remember when he's talking to what's his name on the Zoom call, Bill Hader, and he's like, ooh, I forget.
Yeah.
With the green
funny.
screen, whatever. Hawaii, turn of events, love it. If you guys out there in Hawaii, grab yourself some Stewart's. We absolutely love Stewart's. It's an incredible beverage. Sparkling, refreshing, 100 calories per can, 0 to 1 grams of sugar, 1 gram of carbs, gluten-free, all the good stuff. And you can really tap into your childhood nostalgia. You know what I mean? They really pay homage to some of the classic soda flavors, the root beer, the orange cream. They also have the black cherry, which I think doubles as both a modern and a kind of nostalgic flavor.
Oh yeah, it does.
And the raspberry lime, which is also a great flavor.
That one I like
favorites.
a lot. That's the new one I like.
We really like that one. If you can't find it, you can go to the website. They have a store locator at stewartspiked.com. That's stewartspiked.com. Check out the store locator or hit up their Instagram at stewartspiked, and you'll be able to find it. People hit us up about trying to get it. It really is a wonderful item. And they're sponsoring our live shows.
That's it.
Which
we
we're
love
going to be
them.
excited to see you guys at
Shout
December
out
1st and
Stuart
7th.
Spiked.
Shout out to Stewart Spiked. Best in the biz. Get yourself some cans. Speaking of which, actually, Ryan, can you pass me one of those? They actually have these new cans now that are pretty sweet. I just want to show this to the camera for anybody watching
YouTube
on the YouTube ski.
But as you're doing that, I read an article about
check it out.
I read an
Fire
article about
cannons.
Hawaii
Mhm.
that said that home ownership in Hawaii has risen insanely, as
It's
it
like a
did in many
pandemic thing?
places. But people working from home, especially the Silicon Valley crowd, has
Mhm.
bought houses out in Hawaii, and they go out there and they just stay out there forever. And even though it's driven home prices up, and it's crazy, apparently people who have been living in Hawaii a long, long time actually prefer that to the droves of tourists that just come in for 7 days at a time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because people who are kind of a little more situated and that's better for them. Less traffic, less craziness.
And you're just like, showing that you're willing to, not just show up and pollinate with your crap and leave. Like you're going to chill, like you're going for it.
Dude, Hawaii is awesome.
It's fucking amazing.
It is I would even argue that it's underrated.
I agree.
Because it flies under the radar because it's a state. The fact that it's a state
Totally.
is, I love Hawaii. I've only been one time.
Same. And I loved it.
And it's mind-blowing how good the weather is, how great the water is, the food, the activities. If you could buy a house right now
Mhm.
in any of the 50 states, which state would you buy a house in?
New York, of course.
Is that an of course?
For me, yes. It's
And
of
you're
course.
saying New York City?
No, maybe the Hamptons.
Mm.
The
Must
old
be
buying
nice.
the Hamptons, rent in the city. I mean,
Julia
dude, listen.
just got a Hamptons house.
For
Must
the
be nice.
for the sake of discussion,
Yeah, so that's your number one is New York.
Yes.
Hampskis.
Yeah. What about you?
I would need to think more about it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a ready answer. There was definitely a top 5.
Okay,
I mean, you know me. Jackson Hole, Wyoming is going to be right up there
That's up
at
there.
the top of the.
How is that not going to be?
Yeah,
up
but
there?
so is Sun Valley, Idaho.
Oh yeah.
I have to say, like Ketchum, sort of Sun Valley. So that's Mountain House, and then I wouldn't need a house in Maine because we just go to my family house, right? So even though Maine would be a state that if whatever, New York. The thing is that I don't know where I'd want that house to be, whether it was in the city or in the suburbs or in, as you said, the Hamptons.
Does apartment count as house for the sake of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then maybe the city. I thought you meant house itself.
Yeah. I can say definitively that I do not think I'd want a house in California,
Interesting.
which a lot of people might put California.
up there.
They might.
Yeah.
I'm still afraid of the earthquakes.
That's so funny. That's such a like Northeast person. It's funny. That's a very my parents thing. Like my parents are very concerned about natural disasters.
Yeah.
Which I grew up being afraid of them too.
I'm pretty afraid of natural disasters.
I've now realized though that it's kind of like not something worth being afraid of. Besides like fires. Fires apparently seem like the realest risk. Knock on fucking wood. You know what I mean? Like the craziest earthquake will hit the West Coast now after I say this. But like, yeah, I'm not scared of them at all. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm
trying to think. Fires. What is the natural disaster you fear the most?
That I fear the most? I gotta be honest, I don't really fear any of them. Like global warming, bro, is the natural disaster I fear the most.
Yeah.
And it's the one that is happening gradually and constantly. And I hope that we can get to net zero as like we're trying. Our girl Greta Thunberg out there hustling.
I could see you having a thing with her when I think she's underage, but I could see you like going on a date with her if you were single when she's a grown up.
I agree with that.
Like you'd be like, this chick, man, she's got some cool stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Oh shit!
Oh, she's 18.
Oh shit, brother!
Wow! For once, I don't have to cover my
brother.
tracks.
Dude, I saw a really funny meme of this woman mowing her lawn in Missouri. I think Kenny DeForest posted this. You know Kenny?
No.
He's a funny comic. I think he may live in LA now. But anyway, good guy, funny comic. I think he's from Missouri, and he posted this meme of this woman mowing her lawn with like the biggest tornado you've ever seen in the background.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and like I think that just really describes people being afraid of other people's natural disasters in a way that's unreasonable. Because people still live in all these fucking places. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing to me is Tornado Alley is the one where I just don't understand. I don't understand how. And that's a naive thing to say because people's jobs are there, their families have been there. It's where they were raised, and
yeah.
But I just don't. How many times can you pick up the pieces of your destroyed house?
Totally. And this
rebuild?
Is the thing, dude. This is the thing about tornadoes that I've learned. I don't know if this is obvious or not, but I think the reason that maybe you're willing to take the risk is because tornadoes don't make any sense. So like your neighbor, the person across the street, their entire house could be leveled and your house could be completely fine and not even touched. So it's almost like one of those things where it's like, well, I have a good chance of being fine. Let's cross our fingers and hope it's all right.
Let's roll the dice.
Yeah. But tornadoes are fascinating and crazy. But they don't scare me that much. What's the thing you're the most scared of those?
I think flooding is the thing that I fear a lot.
Yeah.
I just think the water gets pretty dirty. I wouldn't want to be, clinging to
yeah, dude.
the plastic door of a porta potty as a dead cat floated by me, trying to walk
absolutely
down a street where the water is up to your neck and you don't know what you're stepping on. It could be a bramble bush,
dude,
or it could be the lunch lady from the local high school. My God, what a nightmare. I mean, how carefully are you walking down that flooded street?
Dude, that's very funny.
I would be so terrified. Plus, doesn't the water get electrified?
It
maybe
can,
down power lines?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how that works. I know it's contaminated.
Dude,
right?
I got stuck in that crazy random flash flood that happened.
I remember that.
In Queens. And dude, I was trudging through knee-high, waist-high water.
That's a fear of mine.
And I threw out my shoes at the end of the night.
I have a huge fear of walking through deep water and not knowing what was, you bash your foot or your shin against a exposed piece of steel and you cut yourself and now you're infected and tetanus. There's a movie
100%, dude.
I think it's called The Impossible. And
God.
It was about the tsunami in
Thailand.
That
Terrifying.
movie is terrifying.
That movie is devastating, dude.
It really is.
Ewan McGregor, Naomi Watts.
Yes, that's right. And
What a movie.
Tom Holland, and it put him on the map for Spider-Man.
Interesting.
Did you know that?
No, I did not. I did not know that.
Yeah.
But listen, man, when you're in the midst of a natural disaster, it is important to have good cell service.
It is.
And that is why we recommend getting on board with the affordable and wonderful Mint Mobile.
Mint Mobile, the best, as far as I can tell, the best carrier for finding out where your family is in the aid tent.
Absolutely. I gotta say, I'm crushing these fucking ad inserts today, man. Like, wow. Fucking give it up for me. Quick round of applause for Gallerati. But dude, yeah, Mint Mobile is no joke. It's a great, affordable alternative to your traditional cell phone plan. I mean, this holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months free. That's a pretty crazy. As the first company to sell premium wireless service only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. That's crazy, dude. Think about how much money you can save, not only paying $15 a month, but also getting 3 months free. You fucking go ball out at the bar, dude. Shots for everybody,
It's
bro.
a lot of money, dude.
Well, anyway, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/oops. That's mintmobile.com/oops. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/oops. Dude, back to Hawaii.
Yeah. That if that weren't so far away, that would be the state that I would probably buy.
And you know,
Hawaii makes Florida look like a fucking country fair.
Hawaii is superior, dude. So I was watching a Jean-Michel Basquiat documentary.
Ooh, Basquiat. If I were a wealthy rapper, I would buy one of his pieces.
So, dude,
$20 million painting.
Dude, he loved Hawaii.
That's cool.
And one of the things he said, which really resonated with me, he's like, you can go to this like prehistoric, unbelievably exotic place and still buy your favorite toothpaste.
That's exactly right.
Which
and
is
not
like pretty
convert
crazy.
Currency, you know.
Yeah, there's no sort of like adaptation curve there. Like you could just go and do your thing and like get to experience something incredible.
There was a kid that went to school with me who had grown up in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
And his parents were like surgeons. They were just, you know, they had, it's strange to, when I think of Hawaii, I think of honeymoon, paradise, vacation. But to remember that there is totally normal infrastructure, schools, you know, life, hospitals, all of that. People grow up there. As a U.S. state is sort of a wake-up call. And this kid did that. And then he came to Harvard. And I have to tell you, he was so pleasant and so well-mannered.
He's a great guy.
And did do the kind of like hang loose, mahalo, like amazing surfer, you know, super shredded guy. And he went to medical school. Now he's going to be a really successful plastic surgeon. He's a really, really smart guy.
You just love to see it, dude.
You love to see it.
W for the boys.
But I just have to think, man, like, is it even possible to be raised to complain about your childhood if you grew up in Hawaii?
I'm sure there's things.
There's
you know,
probably.
I'm sure there's stuff.
I know there's. Yeah, exactly. Of course, like anywhere.
But dude, it's funny. I have this like remorse about the weekend that I went to Hawaii that I'd actually like to. I've never actually realized I wanted to talk about this, but I need to. So a little backstory. I did a show for these people. I did a show at Caroline's. I must have been like 25 at the time, and I get a text from like the booker who's like, "Hey, these people at the show want your number. They want to." I was like, "All right, that's random, but okay." So they call me and they're like, "Hey, would you want to come perform at my husband's 50th birthday party? You reminded him a lot of his son, because I guess he was remarried. He had a son from, and he's like, we'd love to have you." And I was like, "Oh, this is random, right?" And that's one of the things I was referring to yesterday when my parents were like, "Don't go, you're gonna get murdered." You know what I mean? And then it ended up being this wonderful time. They were so nice. So anyway, they invited me to stay at their house in Hawaii.
Wow.
When I was I was living in LA, and dude, so when I was living in LA, it was like, I had a great time, but it was kind of like a dark time for me too, because my agent at the time, like, just wasn't returning my calls. I was supposed to be auditioning. I wasn't doing anything. I was broke, and it was like a pretty stressful time. So they invited me to Hawaii. I was like, oh my God, it's so nice. Right. So I scrape together whatever money I have, buy a flight there. I go and stay with them for the weekend. I had a great, they hosted me so nice. And I like didn't fucking bring them a gift, dude. Like I didn't even realize that was like, I still was maybe just like a man boy. Like I just didn't realize that like not everyone's your dad. And like, you need to like, you know what I mean? I like hadn't.
Not everyone's your dad.
I hadn't realized that yet. I hadn't realized that in life you like need to like be polite and like do, you know, and
But that's something you learn.
you learn that. I hadn't learned that yet. And I feel really guilty about it. And I want them to know that I regret that and that I'm sorry. And
You know what you should do?
to the Ellens.
You still know who they are?
Yeah.
Could you find them?
Of course they do. They call me on my birthday.
Why don't you send them a gift?
I should send them a gift.
Send them a Oops the Podcast
I gotta
t-shirt,
send
like
them
the
a
one
gift.
you're wearing,
I'm going to text them
as
right
well
now.
as, you know, something cool, like some really, really nice scuba or snorkeling gear.
Dude, I'm texting him right now.
All right,
He's
we
gonna
can-
think I'm sending him a save the date. Dude, what's your address?
Wow.
Dude,
Love it.
so funny. But anyway, so yeah, I feel bad about that.
All right. Well,
and,
I got a question
Hit
for
me,
you.
hit me with the good stuff.
Okay. So, we talk about hero fantasies all the time,
We do.
but
we
I
do.
got a very important one for you. And I think this reads well on the heels of the natural disaster discussion, but would you rather, I'm going to give you 3 options
Okay.
for how you save someone's life. Okay. And you got to tell me which one you would like to do the most.
Okay.
Number 1, you see someone choking at a restaurant and you perform the Heimlich maneuver.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2, you see someone pass out, heart attack or something, and you perform CPR.
Okay.
Or number 3, you see someone completely engulfed in flame and you you wrap them in a blanket and beat them and extinguish them from being on fire.
Dude, first, I have a couple of side thoughts. First of all, the idea of somebody on fire, like, there's this very specific like flail that person has.
Oh yeah.
They're sort of like doing this like back and forth, like
yeah, the Thriller dance.
What's the word for that?
Yeah.
Immolation? Immolating?
Yeah, immolation
immolation?
is yes, that's a
Lighting
great
yourself on
word.
fire? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the Francis word of the episode.
No, that's a you word. That's really good.
Thank you. I needed help, but dude. So, now let me just preface this with: there's no like Squid Game element to this where like the other 2 people die, right? I just have to,
No, it's not that weird. It's just okay. I mean,
there's an obvious answer to me. CPR is the obvious answer.
real? Why is that? Julia, why is that obvious?
Because that is the most skilled technique of the 3.
Oh, okay.
So it's the biggest flex.
See, I'm glad you say that because that was my reason for why I would choose one, and I have a different answer.
Interesting. So I
My,
think-
my
okay,
answer is which method of saving someone will garner the most praise, the most, what a wonderful person. Thank God you were here. Like, can't believe you did this.
Yeah.
And you think CPR.
I mean, it's the only one of the 3 that requires certification, dude.
Yeah, but fucking minimum wage earning lifeguards have it.
Totally, but they still need to learn it. Like Heimlich is pretty straightforward. I know that there's a technique, but like you can figure it out.
All right, but
And
someone in a
the
state,
fire thing, you just fucking throw in a blanket on them.
there's more to the fire. There's more to the fire save. And number 1 and number 2, you're at a steakhouse, someone's choking on a piece of steak. You'd be surprised how many people will just be like, somebody help him, instead of
I know that's true.
being like, we all possess the knowledge to perform the Heimlich maneuver,
That
because
is
not
true.
everyone
That is-
does.
Unfortunately, that is true. And tragically,
I think that, to your point, you can perform the Heimlich and extinguish the guy on fire with less accuracy or technique than you can CPR. I think CPR demands the most technique. You could certainly do the fire, and you could probably do Heimlich just from having seen those in movies.
yeah. Hopefully,
Right?
Yeah. And to be honest, dude, as I think about this, like I had a loved one who unfortunately choked to death,
Oh my God.
and like how much I would love to have been able to be there to give her the Heimlich
Were you
maneuver.
there?
No. But like, to your point, like maybe it's not as straightforward of a thing as it seems. You know what I mean? Like it requires like, I don't know specifically what happened there. We don't even need to talk about it. I'm sorry to like bring the mood down.
No, it's okay.
But it's, yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe it's not as easy as it seems or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I feel confident I could probably do the Heimlich, and I think I could do. But here's the thing with the fire guy. You say you just wrap him in a thing.
No.
I think you got to wrap him up, tackle him to the ground, and roll around with him.
It's probably true.
I think you got to do all those things.
That's probably true. That's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true.
So for me,
the fire.
I think it's probably, I don't have any confidence in my CPR ability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Heimlich is pretty dramatic. You know, you get that sort of ejaculate of the blockage.
Yeah, right.
It's almost like a celebratory firework.
Totally.
Signifying I've saved this
it's a
man.
Trophy.
Look at that. There it is.
Yeah,
you know,
totally,
be sure to chew your pig in a blanket a little more next time.
Right.
Sir. And then he's like, well, thank you for saving my life. Would you like to spend a weekend at my house in Hawaii?
Right.
Now, the fire guy is the most eye-opening. It's sort of the most jaw-dropping spectacle of heroism.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only problem is the person on fire. It's like, dude, how did you get on fire, dude? Like, what?
I know, especially engulfed in flame.
How are you engulfed in flame?
Not just like, his sleeve went into the burner for a minute there. Hold tight. We'll run that under the
this guy running like
sink,
down the street like a Tibetan monk, dude.
Like a stunt.
It's crazy
guy, you know, trying to perform in a John Wick movie. I think the fire guy. It's rare that you're going to be somewhere where you're going to come across a guy
completely engulfed in flames,
completely on fire, where it's like you have have a weighted blanket handy and can put him out.
There's a stock audio sound and using tons of movies that's always associated with somebody on fire.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
I don't know specifically. I might throw it in if
please.
If you can find it.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
So that's a good one.
That's
we'll come back with some more next week. As we were doing that, I thought of some more. I think another really, really good one is seeing that a child has chased a bouncing ball out into the street and a bus is careening down at them, and you run and you just throw the child out of the way, and you dive to get out of the bus. Maybe it clips your foot, a shoe goes flying. You're okay. But everyone realizes just how close that was. Everyone, man, saving a
Pet
child.
Sematary?
No.
At the beginning of
I read the book.
So at the beginning of Pet Sematary, like literally one of the opening things, they buy a house on this. You see their
Really
kid,
fast,
and then you see car driving by fast. You're like, oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah, of course.
But that would have been a perfect opportunity.
Was that a good movie?
No, but yes, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean.
It's iconic. Like you're like, oh, this started something.
Wait, was it the original one that you watched?
The movie, yeah.
Because they remade it.
I watched the original.
Oh,
it's a classic.
Yeah, okay.
And I can imagine how the book was incredible.
The book scared the shit out of me. I read it
yeah.
way too young.
It's one of those movies like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Evil Dead, where it's like a little culty, but it's great. So it's like worth watching.
Cool.
Agent Cody Banks with Frankie Muniz. In the early 2000s, there was a scene, I believe, where a kid hops into the driver's seat of his mom's car and then accidentally puts the car in neutral and it rolls down the hill.
And
then he has to save
Frankie
him.
Muniz saves the
I don't want to
kid.
spoil it, but
Well,
you got to watch the movie.
I don't think too many people are going to be like, God, no, I got to listen to their recommendation of that film.
Guys, I want to take a moment to remind you to check out HelloFresh.
HelloFresh.
What a great product. And if you're asking, what is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. I know that for me, it's really helpful because when I shop, dude, like a lot of the time, I don't end up eating all the food. which sucks.
Yeah.
I know that you have your
Food waste is a huge problem for me.
you're pretty good. It seems like, at least my perception of you is that you're good about it because you now are so, you know what you need and stuff.
Well, also my guilt manifests in almost putting myself in harm's way, where I will eat expired foods
Right.
for the sake of not seeing them go to waste.
Dude, totally.
But with HelloFresh, I would solve that problem.
It's amazing. HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items to choose from every single week, dude, including in vegetarian, calorie smart, and gourmet options, providing plenty of variety. And ingredients travel from the farm to your door within a week. So you get the convenience without skimping on the quality. If you guys go to HelloFresh.com right now, HelloFresh.com/oops14, and use code OOPS14, you can get up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/oops14. Use code OOPS14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. Yeah, so check out HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Dude, so not to circle back, it was really funny last night how I heard like multiple people talking about cheesecake with my family. That was hilarious.
We have and this brings to mind another thing we have to talk about, but keep going. Yeah.
So my dad is funny. He's like, fucking Francis, man. My dad like thinks you and him are fucking best friends.
We are,
which I know, but it's
in
funny.
fact, you're wrong in thinking we're not.
I'm not suggesting that I'm wrong about
We are
it.
closer than you think.
I know.
We are bonded.
So my dad's like, fucking Francis, man. We were talking about cheesecake. He was saying how he wished the crust was a little different. He's like, man, fucking Francis.
I did say that, and I think I angered him.
No, you didn't.
I had an opinion. We were talking very, very animatedly about the cheesecake, right? And I said, listen, if I have one thing that we were like, it's light, it's fluffy, it's got that zesty kind of, and we're going on and we're on same page. I said, if I had one complaint, it's that I wish that the crusts were a little denser, a little more graham crackery, a little more crumbly. And he did not. He almost went, oh, as in like, oh, you have a problem with my recipe?
The cheesecake is infallible in our family.
It is. And I realized I felt like I had overstepped.
Dude, definitely not. And it's funny because everybody the cheesecake's so good. And my family, they all love to reply the same way. They go, it's light. They love to just talk about how it's light. It's light. I heard them say it like 90 times. I heard Theo Butch talking about it.
It's almost like an angel food cake, cheesecake. It's so light.
Corkscrew pastry when you're in Brooklyn. Check it out. I think, dude, I can confidently say this. We're going to give one away at our live show.
It is the nitro cold brew of cheesecakes. It's as though it's been pumped full of nitrous oxide to give it that fluffy egg whitey type consistency. It is a hell of a cheesecake. I'll say that. Now,
dude, fun.
In addition, one more thing about your parents. I was talking to your parents about, your travels.
Oh yeah. So I don't want to. So, is there a way to tell this without spoiling it?
Have we not talked about where you're going?
No. Wait, so I'm trying to think when this episode comes out. We shouldn't talk about it on this episode. We should talk about it on a latter episode because I don't want to. Yeah.
All right. Well, then Ryan, just strike.
No. It's okay. We can keep this in here for now. So I want you guys can kind of just try to guess where I'm going.
You're keeping your trip a secret?
No, people in my life know. I have introduced where I'm going to my parents in a way that sort of is going to alleviate the stress from them.
But the way you told me that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
We should save it.
Save it? Okay.
You guys will enjoy it because there's another anecdote here about Francis almost sort of blowing it.
Yeah.
But it's fine, dude. It's funny that we have done that to each other. I happened to arrive right as Francis was about to potentially do it. And I don't know how you were going to actually end up saying it, but I was able to intervene.
I was going to say the thing you said was so funny.
Which is funny. And I think they actually forgot that I was going on a trip. But I told them, and I literally had a talk with them about it. So I don't feel bad that they forgot. That's on them,
Right. Gotcha.
But fucking LOL, dude.
LOL.
I saw somebody at the show last night who is an Oops listener who we have bonded. She was in the Peace Corps in Comoros, which is an African island nation, I believe. And we've talked a ton about sort of Africa and misconceptions. And her name is Danielle. It was great to see her there. She's like a solid Oops fan too, so that was cool.
Oh yeah,
And,
I met her. She was really nice.
She's cool.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, fucking funny. What a lot of funny stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great time of year. This lead up to Thanksgiving, Christmas. People are, I don't know.
People are
People are up for shit. People are
in
up
good
for
form.
shit.
Dude,
Yeah.
100%. Very cool. But dude, yeah. Anyway, it's a good time to be in the mix in New York City. That's for sure. It's nice to see Kojai back in the mix.
He's back. We really missed him. Sierra's mom, he's technically her dog. Or their dog. But they go to Miami a lot. And they're building, I've said this before.
I don't know if you have.
So they have a really nice place in Miami, and their building doesn't allow dogs.
Oh, wow.
So when they go down there,
I did not know this.
That's sort of why we originally were sort of taking him for a while.
Yeah.
And then in COVID, they were spending more and more time down there, so we sort of just had Kojai for longer and longer. But when they come back, they want to hang with Kojai, so we reluctantly give him up. But when he's gone, I mean, we don't even get along with each other.
Morale is down.
The apartment is cold. It's cold. It's lifeless. We are quick to anger. He softens moods, warmth, feeling, everything. Everything. He is a sponge of negativity and a radiator of joy.
Up of positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. It's so fitting that he's golden. He just shines like the sunlight that he brings. Dude, whenever he leaves, I'm like, is Kojai just like going to get work done? Like he's always like going on vacation, dude. And then coming back looking a little different. They're like, oh, they fed him. I'm like, I think Kojai's just getting filler, dude.
He did put on some paunch.
Some grandma weight.
He did,
feeding him.
yeah. Oh my God. I have something to tell you. And I don't like that this is what it reminded me of. But do you remember when we talked about doormen? Our doormen?
Yes.
One of our doormen passed away.
What?
Yesterday.
What?
On the job.
What? Is this somebody who I would recognize?
Yeah.
No, dude. That is terrible.
And he had a heart attack. And
the bigger guy? Oh my God, dude. That guy, I fucking love that guy.
Everyone
dude, he was
did.
in my doorman fantasy, which we've talked about. I forget which episode, but like the guy who I picture coming to my house with chips or whatever. Hey, is the game on? Like,
yeah.
He is the star of that fantasy.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, he was the star of this building. Everybody loved him. It's so fresh and recent that I don't even know what to make of it.
Oh my God, dude.
But you know something I realized. I mean, he we've learned that he passed away, like at the
sitting
desk
in the chair.
Yeah.
Like it's, oh my God, dude. Well, this
by the
this
time that
episode
you-
is dedicated to him. Dude.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out Pete.
Shout out to Pete. Jesus.
I know, and I don't mean to be super heavy, but
No, it's okay.
something interesting occurred to me in this, which is that of all the people I have known in my life who have passed away, he is the person that I saw most recent
Wow.
to their passing.
Wow.
I've never, in my life, there's never been anyone else who I saw as
Knocking
close
on wood.
to their passing as he was, which is very jarring.
It's like you puts you in an existential crisis immediately.
You know, you hear human life is precious. Boy,
Yeah.
you don't take
Holy
anything
shit,
for granted. That hit me harder than any grandparent, people that I was, closer to even.
Damn, dude.
In that life was so normal. Our exchanges were so normal. I saw him the day before.
Jesus.
I probably saw him the day of. I see him every day.
Jesus.
And
Sorry, man.
yeah.
It's a bummer.
No, I mean, everyone's devastated. He was a great guy. And hard to believe, especially since we had talked about our doorman on that episode just recently. So,
dude, crazy.
yeah. Anyway, don't want to, shout out Pete. appreciate us. Yeah, dedicate this episode to him for sure.
All right, dude, let's rip an email and then let's get out of town. What do you
Love
say?
that. Love that.
Okay, this one is called Scarring Sexual Encounter.
Oh boy.
And so we were sort of we were interested at where this one ended up going. So it appeared it was going to go one way and it went another way, and it was a really good discussion. So that's just kind of the preface, and here we go. Love the podcast, guys. Instant download every Tuesday and Thursday for me. Appreciate you, dude. You guys spoke a few episodes back about things you wouldn't want your significant others to learn about your past. I thought you guys may get at least a laugh out of mine. I'm 35 now and married with a young child, but 8 years ago, things were a bit different. I had just come out of a 2-year relationship, and Tinder/Hinge had only recently become socially acceptable. So I hopped on for the first time. I quickly matched with a girl and we went on a few dates. I knew things weren't going to work out long-term pretty quickly, but kept it going because she was sweet and I had never casually dated like this before. On our third date, we went out and had one drink. This is important to the story. And then when we went back to her place, for the first time. She had a roommate who I hadn't met. And although she was home, it was late on a Sunday night, so her door was closed. We went into my girl's room and hooked up. After finishing, we were in bed talking, still naked, and she oddly stopped speaking mid-sentence. I glanced over at her and she was foaming at the mouth and her eyes had partially rolled back into her head.
Oh my God.
Freaking out, I jumped out of bed and repeatedly asked her to stop joking. It quickly became clear she wasn't joking once she started convulsing.
Stop pulling my leg. Dude, she's foaming at the mouth.
I know. So
what?
I threw my clothes on and ran to her roommate's room. I nervously knocked on the door and said something to the effect of, I know you don't know me, but your roommate and I went on a few dates and I think she's having a seizure. Please help. Once her room... Wow. Siri was just activated on my watch. Sorry, guys. I don't know what the fuck. Demon Siri. All right, where were we? I know you don't know. Okay, please help. Once her roommate rushed out, I quickly realized I needed to brace her for the fact that the girl was still completely naked in bed. I told her call 911. EMS and NYPD showed up within minutes, and her roommate was still trying to dress her when they came in. Realizing how bad the optics were, I instantly feared that the police would assume that I had engaged in some kind of foul play. Thinking that honesty was the best policy, I relayed the whole story to them. They, of course, questioned me about any drugs or alcohol we consumed, but I made it clear that she hadn't done any drugs to my knowledge, and that we only had one drink at the bar. They seemed to believe me, which gave me some sense of relief. The girl, who was still pretty out of it despite medical assistance, was put on a stretcher and taken to the hospital. Her roommate went with her, so I declined to go. I got a call from a doctor at the hospital at like 3 a.m. that night, confirming how much she drank, if we did drugs, etc. She texted me a few days later, apologized, and said that she had had some type of chronic seizure disorder, which I had been unaware of, that caused the whole episode. She asked to go out again, but she said she understood if I wanted to move on. I was so traumatized by the whole thing that I just never responded to the text and never saw her again.
Ooh.
But just wait. So I never told my wife this story, but many of my close friends know about it, and I'm still borderline concerned that it will come up one day in front of her. Now that we're married, it won't have any practical effect, but what will she think of me for having ghosted this girl?
Oh.
Was I an awful person for never responding to her text, or was my reaction totally justified? And if you think I'm an awful person, which is totally fair, what would you have done? The thing to me that was unexpected about this, I wasn't expecting him to be like, I feel guilty.
I get it.
And he should feel guilty. I get it.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't a nice thing to do.
But it's just another example of something from your younger life where you realize I chose the wrong response.
Yes.
And every single one of us can point to a moment which I'm sure sometimes we've buried deep within our subconscious or tried to cover over because we're ashamed of it. And however that takes shape, it's like, you know, who can say what's worse? Obviously, that story sounds really sad because, you know, this poor girl obviously it wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault. He did everything right in the moment, but you know, you'd hope that your son would respond, hey, don't worry about it. You know, obviously.
Right.
even if he doesn't want to see her again, she deserves
Yes.
just to hear back and be like, don't worry about it. I think, it's best if we go our separate ways. Like,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed whatever, the nice thing. But it's just another one of those moments in life where it's like, we all have something like that.
Yeah.
Where we're like, if people knew that about me and knew that I had responded the way I did, they would not.
Right.
That's a black mark on my resume of life.
So, dude, it resonates with me particularly because I have a pretty good friend who has seizures, and I know how hard it is for him. Like, it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like, we don't hold it against him. Of course not. I would never. But I know how much maybe that could hurt a person to like get ghosted because of that.
Yeah.
And this is what I'll say to our friend who emailed. This is like second degree shitbaggery. You didn't act shitty. You reacted shitty, and it's okay. You know what I mean?
That's well said.
Like, dude, it's okay. You got spooked. You were young. Like, you're fine. Your wife isn't going to be mad at you about it. Like,
And that girl is fine, I'm sure.
yeah, the fact that you're still thinking about it, I think means that you're a good guy.
Agreed.
I think you're
Agreed.
fine. I think that you could put this to rest. Don't worry about it. If she finds out, I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
I also don't, maybe you know better than I do, but I just don't know that, if someone has a seizure and then a person doesn't respond to them anymore, do they carry with them some kind of real self-conscious sort of thing? Like, does that build up does that crush their confidence in the way that, to me, seizures are so unavoidable. I didn't know that people were self-conscious about them, and that's my own ignorance. So apologies.
No, dude, it's fine.
But like that, you saying that your friend is that's the first I've ever heard that anyone would even consider looking at someone who has seizures as like a fault or something, or that people who have them would be ashamed of them.
Yeah. So, dude, I've experienced two people having seizures in front of me. One person, it was a much more traditional seizure, falling on the ground, shaking around like a fish on a boat, like when you drop the fish on the boat. And I know that's fucked up, but like the traditional seizure. And my friend, his seizures are a little different. They're like, it's like he's possessed, and he will be doing things. He'll come up to you and he'll sort of like intensely like look at you, and there'll be some foamage. There'll be a little bit of like, doing things. I know he listens to the podcast. So I'm sorry if I'm like airing out the specifics of this, but I think it's important for people to know. And somebody said this to me, and regardless of what the seizure is like, a seizure is one of the scariest things
It is.
that you experience someone else doing.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing it, you don't fucking know you're doing it. You don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Seeing it is so scary if you don't know what's happening. Because at the end of the day, a seizure is a much better alternative than what it could be. You're like, if you don't know, you think they're overdosing, you think they're dying, like you don't fucking know.
Right.
If you knew it was a seizure, you'd be like, thank God.
Well, some seizures, as I understand it, people that have epilepsy I'm really wandering into territory I'm not that familiar with here, but I think that people with epilepsy who experience seizures, it's not as harmful as somebody who just has a random seizure for the first time.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds correct.
I think someone, I knew a kid, I remember, who did not have epilepsy or whatever. He was a childhood friend of mine who out of nowhere had a seizure, and it had something to do with, he was in a room that had like kerosene lamps. And I think the fumes from the lamps triggered a seizure.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was really dangerous.
Wow.
Or if you've had horrific head trauma,
Right.
like a bad concussion,
Or
you
hemorrhage.
could have a seizure.
Yeah.
Those are much more dangerous.
That's like a stroke,
yeah.
right? That can
Right.
become. Okay, Ryan saying that non-epileptic seizures is most often caused by mental stress or physical condition.
Well,
But
if
the
anyone
physical
knows,
condition covers
let's
what
call it
you're
a call to knowledge. If anyone
Yes.
out there has more experience or knowledge about epilepsy, seizures in general, we would love to hear about it and inform.
I suspect my boy will have something to say about this, so I'm looking forward to
Got it.
his response.
Okay.
Wow, what a fucking episode, dude.
Wow, we covered a lot of different things.
What a
Holy
wild
moly.
ride. Oops, the podcast. We're excited to see you at our live shows. We are excited to, as you guys continue to sort of tell us where you want to see us, we're excited to sort of expand. We're sort of excited to expand. You know what I mean? I don't know why it reminds me of communism, but we're growing from the epicenter of the Communist Manifesto. And we're most likely going to be places that are drivable first and then flyable. And hopefully before you know it, we will have a Soviet Union of Oops the Podcast. We look forward to seeing you guys. Hit us up, oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. Tell us your stories. Keep messaging us on Instagram and, telling us anything. We love it. We love you. Goodbye.